Thank you, everyone, for gathering this afternoon. It is a difficult task to try to capture the essence of a person's life in a rather short period of time, but the touch of Stuart on so many lives was great and profound, and we will celebrate that touch this afternoon. So thank you for your support and for being here. We begin with words from our tradition.
From Psalm 15. Adonai mi yagur be'alecha, mi yishkon behar kodshecha, holech tamim ufoel tzedek, v'dover emet bilvavo. Lo ragal al shono, lo asa l're'ehu ra'a, v'cherpa lo nasa al krovo. Nivse ve'enav nimas, v'rat yirhei Adonai yichabed. Nishba lehara v'lo yamir. Kaspo lo natan b'neshech v'shochad al naki lo lakach. Oseh lo yimot le'olam. Who deserves to enter God's sanctuary? Who can merit a place in the presence of God? Live with integrity, do what is right, speak the truth without deceit, have no slander upon your tongue, do no evil to others. Do not mistreat your neighbor, spurn a contemptible person, but honor those who revere God. Make these deeds your own, and then you shall stand firm forever. We know surely that Stuart, with his warmth and kindness, is among those who deserve to enter God's sanctuary, and we know that his memory shall stand firm forever.
For our bereaved this day, we offer this tefillah, these words of prayer. Our God and God of our ancestors, our rock and redeemer, 1,000 years in your sight are a passing day, an hour of night. Our generations come and go while you endure forever. We are always in your hand, Eternal One, in death as in life, trusting in your love and in your judgments. Merciful God, strengthen those who mourn the loss of Stuart Small, to Arlene, to Mark and Carrie, to Debbie and Richard, David, Elizabeth, Rachel, Gabrielle, Isaac, to Maya, Reese, Theo, Wesley, and Samuel, to Gil and Ruth, to Michael, Daniel, Jonathan, Robert, and indeed the entire community that inhabits this holy space this afternoon and beyond it. We feel the palpable absence of Stuart in our lives. Help this family to look beyond the moment. Help them to realize that death cannot destroy the bonds of your everlasting love, Eternal One. Sustain them with the knowledge of our faith, that you will not abandon our souls to the grave, that you will not allow the faithful to suffer oblivion. For you, O Lord, have taught us the way of life. Through you, our refuge, we gain eternity. And let us say, Amen. In his 90 years, Stuart touched lives in many wonderful and profound ways, and we mark with sadness his passing from this earth, but at the same time, we celebrate the life that he lived. We will call upon some family members today to share thoughts. Let's begin with Isaac and Gabrielle, to be followed by Robert, Dan, and David, and Kelly on behalf of some dear friends. Isaac, if you'd like to start.
My grandfather, Stuart, or as I always knew him, Pop-Pop, could be described as kind, outgoing, courageous, welcoming, as well as many other kind words. At the end of the day, these are just words, and for those who had the pleasure of being in his presence can understand the limited scope in which these words can truly express who he was. Pop-Pop has departed, but in doing so, he has left a beautiful piece of himself in all of us. For that, I can only be eternally grateful. His kind actions, love for health, and his family will never be forgotten. I recall a time my father, Pop-Up, and I went on a camping trip on the Hudson River. We pulled in, unloaded kayaks, and set forth together on a little adventure. After a few miles paddling upstream, we found a beautiful spot to camp. We pitched our tents and enjoyed each other's company over a nice warm fire. I'm eternally grateful for memories like this. I'm sure we can all think of a beautiful time we got to enjoy the presence of Pop-Pop. For a moment, this world became a bit dimmer, losing such a beautiful person. However, his positive influence he has had on all of us will carry through tomorrow and for many years to come. Thank you.
Anybody who knew my grandfather knows that he has tried every single health trend. Just last night, actually, we were all sitting around and talking, and the topic of these new vibrating machines that are all the rage. I don't know if you guys have heard about them, but you stand on it and it vibrates you, and it's supposed to have health benefits, and we started talking about them. And my husband, Tim, said, I think I saw one of those in the basement, actually. And so we all took a field trip downstairs, and lo and behold, there was a top-tier, high-end, best model money could buy vibration machine. And my two beautiful nieces, who are sitting right there, they were his great-granddaughters, and they climbed up on it, and they were giggling and squealing and laughing, and it made me feel like Pop-Pop was making them smile and laugh just one last time. Because I think the only thing he loved more than all of the avocado pit smoothies and earthing pads and inversion machines, gin-soaked raisins, handfuls of vitamins, the only thing that he loved more than all those things combined was his family. And I know this because when I was 9 years old, I joined the Girl Scouts, and I was selling Girl Scout cookies, and even though he absolutely hated refined sugar, he bought 10 boxes of Girl Scout cookies from me. And I think that story perfectly sums up Stuart Small. He loved hard, he was incredibly generous, and anything he committed to, he was all in. And I know that if he were here, He would give each and every one of you a big bear hug and probably a big, wet, sloppy kiss on the cheek, and thank you all for coming and honoring his life and legacy of love and generosity.
When I think of my Uncle Stuart, I think of energy, intensity, humor, and love. Stuart lived to 90, and he really lived. He didn't coast through life, and he definitely didn't do anything halfway. If Stuart was going to do something, he was going to do it all the way, and probably with very strong opinions on how it should be done. At the center of his life was Aunt Arlene. The two of them were an amazing pair. They were completely devoted to each other and seemed like they were never apart. Along with my parents, they helped create the rhythm of family life for all of us. The holidays were a big part of that. Every year, Rosh Hashanah and Seder were at our house, Break the Fast and Thanksgiving were at theirs. That was just what we did. It was constant, it was comforting, and it made family feel like something you could always count on. Although with Stuart, even holiday dinners came with a little extra motion. He could never sit still for long. Within minutes of a course being served, he was already up clearing plates. Sometimes that drove my mother a little crazy because she was trying to host the dinner and Stuart had already decided it was time to clean up. I have to admit, though, I was quietly appreciative. It was saving me from a lot of work. I'm the youngest of his 4 nephews, and when we were little, Stuart liked to threaten us with the crusher, or he's going to pulverize us, something he continued with my children. As a kid, that sounded terrifying for maybe half a second, but with Stuart, it always ended up the same way, laughing. That was his style. He could seem intense, even a little intimidating at first, but it was always wrapped in affection and fun. And because I was a very respectful child, I used to tap him on his bald head and say I was slapping him in the face. At that time, I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And now karma has done what karma does, and I've ended up with more or less the same barber. So Stuart in the end got the last laugh. He was an amazing photographer, especially of people. People fascinated him. He noticed them, he studied them, he wanted to capture something about them. He would ask random strangers if he could take their picture just because something about them interested him, and that never changed. Even recently at a Celtics game in Boston the night before Thanksgiving, a group of strangers handed their phone to my brother so he could take their picture. And while they were all posing, Stuart quietly pulled out his own phone to take one too. Fortunately, they didn't notice, but that was Stuart, always curious, always observing, always interested in people. He brought that same intensity to everything else, too. He was completely committed to natural health and wellness, as Gabby talked about. I think it's safe for all of us if I don't get too far into his views on pharmaceutical companies. Stuart didn't just take a multivitamin, he had a whole cabinet full of supplements. I'm not sure if it was a vitamin collection or a branch of a local health food store. And exercise was no different. I once saw him on a stationary bike in a hotel gym, and I honestly don't think I've ever seen anyone work out that hard. I was concerned enough afterward that I sent him a heart rate monitor and some advice about zone training. I think one of the reasons he worked out was because he and Arlene shared a love of the outdoors and adventure. They were always off hiking somewhere beautiful and exotic, and that's something my family has definitely carried forward. For all the humor and intensity, Stuart also felt things deeply. That's something I always admired about him. I tend to be a little more even-keeled, and I've always thought there was something special about how deeply Stuart cared and how deeply he felt and how fully he lived. I remember one time in college when I came home really sick with a terrible stomach virus and my parents were away. I called Arlene and Stuart, and they were there for me. That's who they were. They showed up, not just for the holidays and not just for the fun moments, but when it really mattered. So that's how I'll remember Stuart. Funny, intense, curious, devoted, and completely himself. He gave us laughter, stories, traditions, and love. He helped build the family life that means so much to all of us. We were lucky to have him and lucky to still have Aunt Arlene and my parents. May Stuart's memory always be a blessing.
Stuart was my uncle. Not all uncles and aunts are close to their nephews and nieces. Some are, some aren't. Stuart wanted to have a meaningful relationship with his nephews, and he did, certainly with this one. It helped that my family of origin lived just 25 minutes away from his. Growing up, I was friends with his son, Mark, and I saw a good deal of Stuart, Arlene, Mark, and Debbie, and I was the better for it. But you didn't have to spend a lot of time with Stuart to know him. He was entirely predictable, entirely consistent, entirely transparent. He always seemed to have a camera with him, and as Rob mentioned, he loved photography. And I got to see his basement walls, which are covered with beautiful photographs of his family and his trips all around the world. And every time I saw him, he said the same thing, how much he hated the pharmaceutical companies. He hated them with a passion. And he touted herbs and supplements, and he practiced what he preached. He had a refrigerator full of them. And every time I saw him for years, he would ask me the same question: who have you sued recently? I was a plaintiff's lawyer, and it was not an idle question. He actually was genuinely interested in hearing about my latest lawsuit. And as Rob mentioned, every Seder at my parents' house, he could not sit through the entire service. Now, in his defense, it was not a short Seder. But the only question was when he would get up from the table to walk around, to engage others, to clear plates. Stuart was a bit of a character, and he was very comfortable being one. In fact, I think he liked to be a bit provocative. One of my favorite examples of this was when I went on a ski weekend with Stuart and his family to Round Top Mountain in Vermont. The first morning we were there, it was literally with the wind chill like 70 degrees below zero. And we were out there skiing, and then finally in the afternoon, the wind died down, the sun came out, it warmed up a little bit, and suddenly there was a long lift line. Everyone came out to ski, and there was Stuart in the lift line yelling at all the people in front of him, "Where were you in the morning? How come you didn't come out? Are you a fair weather skier?" Stuart is not someone you forget, and I won't. I will always have many happy memories of my time with him. May his memory be a blessing.
My favorite memory of my grandfather is when he taught me how to ski, and something that I think about a lot. He was just really, really fun and energetic, and nobody believes me when I say this, but when he was teaching me to ski, he was really patient. And when we were doing it, he told me something that I didn't really understand how much I would think about through my life. He said, "The mountain is too hard to fight. You have to work with the mountain." And I just thought it was about skiing, but as I got older, when I would face something that felt insurmountable, I thought about that, and it gave me a lot of strength to get through whatever was going on. And he's just probably the strongest person I ever knew, and I really think he just made everyone's life a little happier that got to interact with him.
Kelly's going to speak on behalf of the Swirsky family this time.
Holly and Jerry Swirsky have asked me to speak on their behalf about their friendship with Stuart and share some memories of the life he and Arlene built during the winters in Palm Springs. For 13 years, Stuart and Arlene truly thrived there, surrounded by a close-knit circle of friends. Stuart was a fixture in his bridge group, playing 3 to 4 times a week. Even when the world changed during COVID, that bond remained unbroken. Stuart, Arlene, Holly, and Jerry made the best of those challenging times together, staying connected through their bridge games and their twice-weekly walks through the living desert, masks and water bottles in hand. Stuart was the definition of a good sport. He never allowed his hearing impairment to act as a barrier to his joy or his participation in life. Whether it was a performance at the McCallum Theater, attending Friday night services twice monthly, or joining friends for a frequent dinner out, Stuart showed up with effort and genuine enthusiasm. While we may never know exactly what he heard, we know exactly what he felt, the warmth of community and the simple happiness of being present. Stuart's physical life has ended, but the lesson he lived by remains with us. It was captured in his signature response to any suggestion Arlene made. "Yes, Arlene, that's fine. Let's go." He leaves us with the spirit of yes, a reminder to show up for one another, to be a good sport, and to always be ready for the next adventure. For this, we will remember our times with Arlene and Stuart as a blessing, and the time we spent together will always be forever cherished. He lives on in our hearts. With much love and sympathy to the entire family, Holly and Jerry.
Thank you, family, for these wonderful words, and as well our deep appreciation for the remarkable care you extended to Stuart, especially in these past very difficult days. It's a true tribute of love. We are told in the tractate of Pirkei Avot, the sages, the one known as Shammai in particular, had a sense that it is a profound religious duty to greet everyone b'sever panim yafot, with a cheerful countenance. This is not simply a matter of kindness or appropriate social graces, for to make another feel comfortable in one's presence is to have that person feel valued and cherished. It is to honor the divine spark in each of us. You know that Stuart believed that anything worth doing was worth doing in excess, and my, how he embraced others with that sense of loving enthusiasm and love. In Jewish life, the term Rebbe, as opposed to rabbi, is reserved for spiritual leaders from the Hasidic world. That did not stop Stuart from speaking to me in that manner. He knew I was not a Hasidic Jew, but every time he saw me, it would be with a big hug an even larger hello, and with a huge smile punctuated by the words, "How are you, Rebbe?" Of course, this would extend to many others as well. In 2010, Arlene and Stuart joined us in a Bethel trip to Israel, and Ruth and Gil and Isaac, I think, also a part of that experience as well. And in the course of greeting everyone, unfolding in that manner, there were total strangers on the street that he would greet. Once in a small town of Zichron Yaakov, a wedding was taking place near the town square. The bride and groom were preparing for the ceremony, walking down the street. And Stuart was there, taking in the joy, taking 1,000 pictures, of course, and going up to the bride and groom separately and planting upon their cheeks a big kiss and a hug. He did not know them, of course, from Adam. The couple took it in stride as if this was something that happened every single day. And the fellow members of the group simply smiled and said, "There goes Stuart again," gladdening the hearts, in this case at a time of special joy. That embrace of people, a physical connection, was a symbol of how he embraced life as a whole. He may have created springs in his work, but he himself was the springboard of happiness throughout family life and beyond. This sense of experiencing life as an adventure, as exploration, as a possibility to be embraced, this was so much the core of his being. We sit right now in a room with special meaning, special resonance with the small family, so much a part of this congregation for many years. Stuart would often speak of his deep attachment to the Jewish people, to Jewish ideas, to values, and he would tell me from time to time that the synagogue was special because it was unique in that it touched the lives of people from birth to grave. And of the many things I believe Stuart took away from his Jewish heritage was, though maybe not conventionally in a religious way as we often define it, a sense of the divine presence symbolized by the eternal light behind me here. He spoke of it to Arlene in a particular way, about the eternity of one's soul, this in a wistful moment, the eternity of anyone's soul. And it is indeed a reflection of the book of Proverbs, the verse that says, "Ner Hashem nishmat adam," the human soul is a lamp unto God. Stuart was that kind of lamp. His face, his entire being would shine, emitting a type of eternal light in everyday life, because he loved you. He loved you, family, very deeply, and he conveyed that in his own ways. What wonderful memories you have shared and have ensued from the family of his origin, as well as the 67 years of marriage that you, Arlene, and Stuart shared together. Loving you so very much in countless different ways, including the cappuccinos that, if not terribly good in quality, were at least consistently evident in quantity. All of the adventures, the hiking, tracking through all kinds of terrain and environments, just as you walked through life together. There may have been some times of thick and prickly vegetation, because life has those, but also so many vistas, beautiful ones, landscapes of joy and endless hope. And you would marvel at those sights together, hand in hand, because they touched your collective souls and you made them your own. We have heard that he never met a health regimen he did not adopt, having in his possession more mineral supplements and pills than the vitamin shop, open to new ideas all the time if it would enhance health, even if it meant pulverizing an avocado pit into a smoothie. He cared about the world at large, its health, its well-being, just as his own physical health and that of loved ones. The body a shrine in that regard, and the world at large nothing less. But he knew that the best medicine of all was that perpetual kindness, that sensitivity that could be expressed in countless ways. We are going to miss that vitality, that embrace of life, that sense of what truly matters. But the memories will remain. How he would always say to Arlene, what may have been a moment of doubt, "Just buy it, Arlene. Don't hesitate." ending every conversation or email with the simple words, "Be well," and not pausing in his sense of the necessity of greeting everyone who would gather in a room, not stopping until he had the opportunity to shake the hands, to say hello to everyone gathered there. Someone whose generosity was so deep and abiding that if he somehow failed to give a homeless person money at a traffic light, he would go around the block so he could be situated to give a contribution on the next go-round. Our tradition tells us, "B'makom she'en anashim hishtadel liot ish," in a place where there is no one to stand up, to be unique, to do something that matters in a way large or small, well, then you be that person. And he did that in his own way, with care, with love, and the nurturing of compassionate generosity. He was a devoted blessing to his family, to his community, to his people, and to all of us. Yehi zichro baruch, may his memory endure as a beautiful and an abundant blessing. Please rise, friends, at this time, if you would, for the memorial prayer, the El Malei Rachamim.
Hametzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashechina b'ma'alat kedoshim u'tehorim kizor orakia nazirim et nishmat Shimon ben David v'Freda shehalach le'olamo began Eden tehei menuchato Ana ba'al harachamim hastireu בסתר כנפיך לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו נחלתו וינוח בשלום Mishkavo v'nomar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Stuart Small, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen.
Please be seated. The interment will take place at the Bethel Cemetery in Avon, and following the interment service, everyone is invited to return back here to Bethel for a meal of condolence, a civil opportunity to be able to share thoughts, memories, and condolences with the extended Small family. If anyone is not planning on going to the cemetery service, we will be returning here in the neighborhood of 2:45 p.m. this afternoon, and you are certainly invited to come at that time.